personally, I found out about it over the radio, which is, a horrendous way for an industry to find out that they've been deleted. And, this decision has left the industry reeling. We're all struggling to comprehend what to do next and how we're going to survive.
I'd just come back from a trip up the coast and we were cleaning fish at the time, and I heard about the fate of our industry on the radio.
Well, we heard about this decision from the Minister last year, sort of through social media, which was a bit shocking that we didn't get something formal written to us or have some communications like that. So really disappointing to find out through social media about this ban, one of the most significant bans in West Australian history.
It's been devastating. A lot of us don't have the option to go to other fisheries. Even boats like ours that do, been unable to fish due to the weather in other regions, time of year, currents, all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's been absolutely devastating for, even the guys that are doing crayfishing that do a bit of wetlining as well. It's been devastating for our customers. We've got a really loyal group of customers that buy fish directly off us and wholesale as well, direct to sashimi markets and other higher end things around Perth, and they're all not able to get our product anymore.
So I'm a fourth generation fisherman, my son's obviously fifth. It's crazy. It's almost beyond belief how a minister has the right to take away the seafood industry basically from Kalbarri to Augusta. So she's depriving West Australians the right to have that seafood. It's just not right. And even when the 18 months time, when the reckies can go out, no commercial fishing between Kalbarri and Augusta is ridiculous. There's enough fish out there for all. There just needs to be better management arrangements, and so people can keep having a supply of fish. Is that right?
Well, essentially, it's devastating. I mean, it's an absolute financial train wreck. It's an emotional toll. It's hard on the family life, but also we have a number of staff and customers who rely on us. And so there's just a shockwave through the entire supply chain.
We really haven't had any consultation from the Minister or the department over this whole process, and even continuing now, we're trying to work things out without knowing or having any open dialogue with the Minister or the department. We have had a few conversations, but they wouldn't be considered consultation because they're with a few limited people. In the past, we've had a lot more consultation when we're going into cuts or bans, and we sort of know what we're going into before, whereas this time we were told some tough decisions had to be made. For me, a tough decision is maybe cutting your quota down by 50% in terms of how many hours you can fish, not completely closing a fishery. That is not some hard changes, that is devastating changes.
There's a lot of confusion out there. Obviously there's a loss of income. Everyone's still got bills to pay with their boats. There's insurance, pen fees, maintenance, maintaining all your freezers and all your equipment. No one's seen a cent yet for any of that, as far as I know.
Well, I think a mix of anger, disbelief, shock. I mean, we knew that there was going to be some management changes and the Minister was making an announcement, but we had no idea that this was what was being tabled behind doors. I mean, if anything, we thought that perhaps we might get some spawning closures or something targeted to really look after those couple of species that need some help. But certainly not a blanket ban that encompasses our entitlement to be on the water whatsoever, meaning we can't target any fish, even those that are non-demersal. So we were really reeling from that.
Yeah, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of work trying to get to the bottom of why it's happened. It's been tough for our family. My kids are of an age where they want to help out with the business and that sort of stuff, and they're unable to at the moment. They're worried about me personally, as are the rest of the family and friends, and the impact's been huge. It's not the same household it was prior to December the 3rd.
I mean, there was a captain's call, as Minister Jarvis says. She made the call. It was contrary to the advice from the department. So she's gone out and thought she's doing the right thing, and we all obviously don't think that's the appropriate way to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she said it herself, it's a captain's call. She's come up with this solution herself. It wasn't the direction of the department or anybody else as far as we can tell. So it really begs belief, and it's the problem with the entire system when we don't have informed choices being made and people are, you know, nothing against the minister, but she's just been given a portfolio. She has no background in fisheries or fisheries science, and she's not followed the science from and the advice of her own department, which, you know, is really the peak of the problem.
And the minister says she's apologetic and it's a tough decision to make. So why did she have to wait a year and then just before Christmas come out and say that it's critical that we shut our industry down forever? Doesn't make any sense.
I think the minister really does need to look long and hard about the way this is impacting not just communities, but the individual livelihoods of these people who have invested their entire careers in providing this industry to Western Australians, and to simply be kicked to the curb and basically forgotten about, given very few alternatives, but to move on, simply isn't good enough of government.
The ban, when you break it down to the real simple form, is about 64 tonnes per week of fish that isn't getting brought into the local economy. Some of that fish does go to the eastern states, but that's a small percentage, maybe 15%. So realistically, it's about 50 tonnes of fish that isn't being brought in. So what that means is we've got to bring in 50 tonnes of fish from elsewhere. You know, in our business, we're bringing about 4 or 5 tonne a week from New Zealand. So that's what it really means, is West Australian people aren't getting to eat West Australian fish.
I think access to local seafood is absolutely fundamental to WA. We've grown up with it. There's a great rec sector that accesses it, but there's a lot of people that don't have a boat and can't go fishing themselves that deserve to be able to enjoy these iconic local products.
Well, customers are telling me when they come into the club, they say, we want to buy a local beer, which are hard to find these days as well. We're lucky we got some gauge rows, and they say, I want to buy a local fish. And we look at them and say, well, we can't. And then when we say, they say, why not? There's the ocean, we can't afford it. And then when you explain to them the licences and the bans and all the stuff involved, they can't believe it, honestly. You know, Eastern Staters even can't believe it, let alone Asian tourists. So we just have to tell them basically the truth.
We really felt for the West Australians that weren't being able to get their fish. We started this because we wanted to make sure that West Australians were accessing the fish that they're entitled to access through the right and sustainable ways.
Yeah, look, I guess what we're seeing within the banned area is a significant reduction in activity, and that means the local tackle shop doesn't get the income that it would normally get. The fish and chip shop now has an issue with supply and meeting cost expectations of customers. Same with restaurants. You know, we're having to put our prices up in very challenging environments. So it's not just affecting fishermen, this is widely affecting the community.
Oh, there's a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways it's been impacted. It was immediately, impacted on the seafood, the buyers, the people that are associated with my business, so directly my crew, and the confidence level in the seafood industry. I mean, it's not just a few wetliners we're talking about. This is sort of like an attack of the seafood.
We don't want to see our fishermen have to sell their homes, move elsewhere, start a new business, everything that they've worked towards to have been uprooted, when it benefits our business so much, and the ethos that many Margaret River wineries take, or Southwest wineries take, where we love supporting our own produce, we believe strongly in it, and that gets showcased all over the world. It gets taken in social media to all of our international tourists that come to our beautiful region and want to enjoy the spoils of Western Australia. And we have some very unique produce that we showcase in our restaurant, and we're not really going to be able to do that anymore. It's going to come at a much greater cost to us, but more importantly, at a really sensitive time. It's going to be coming at a greater cost to the consumer.
Well, there's many things wrong with the decision. I mean, I think one of the worst things is the blanket sort of blunt instruments that they've used. You know, these just delete the licenses rather than a nuanced approach that allows us to target sustainable options whilst letting the at-risk fish recover. The shark fishery takes an enormous proportion of shark and a very, very small proportion of those at-risk species, and it could be tweaked to be even better. I think that also the timeframes that were given to industry were just incomprehensible. A 3-week timeframe to delete businesses across Western Australia is just inhumane. I personally believe it's borderline malicious. There's a million other ways we could have done that. I mean, when they shut logging, there was years. The sheep had years. You know, even 6 months would have been something, but 3 weeks was, you know, is catastrophic to local businesses.
It was very heavy-handed. We're struggling to see the science behind it. Anecdotally, from, you know, the guys in the industry that are fishing, a lot of us have had really good seasons for the last few years and leading back to, you know, back towards 2020 through COVID and everything. And we just don't see a reason to shut the fishery. We do see the need for management changes, not necessarily just for commercial, but we don't see a need to shut the fishery. There's nothing that couldn't have been managed a lot better without doing it.
I think there's a plethora of ways that we could do that while still harvesting those species that are sustainable. You know, there's a number of offshore fisheries that we could explore. We already fish and we know that we have a minimal impact on those at-risk species. You know, the shark fishery takes a very small percentage of those species and could be probably tweaked to take even less, whilst retaining a huge abundance of sustainable shark and offshore species available to the public.
The most basic solutions would be for professional fishers to go on an ITQ system of quota, and for the recreational sector to get a review of bag limits and things like time closures, spawning closures, spatial closures, which could be applied across all sectors. You know, if you tell the commercial sector they can only catch a certain amount of fish, then that's all they can catch. They'll go and catch other fish somewhere else. So we need to address those issues, and that's why we sort of think the decision was too heavy-handed.
I guess my message to the government is I would ask that they reconsider. We've been talking to them around the Principle 3, which all peak bodies in government agreed. It was an election commitment. It's where entitlement is registered. It can't be diluted. It can't be destroyed. It's transferable and it's protected at law. I think that is a fundamental principle, and on that basis we would ask that the government reconsider the closure of the West Coast demersal commercial fishing. We think that it would be better to use this year to do science that everyone agrees on the methodology and the data collection, and then have an annual management meeting at the end of the year to determine what the resource is that everyone agrees, and make some decisions then around what the commercial catch should be the following year. And obviously you could repeat that process. Allow commercial fishermen to voluntarily exit the fishery if it's not economic for them. But there are people that definitely want to continue to fish, and they should be able to continue. There's enough resource to have a commercial fishing industry for demersals and supply the local economy and the community.
There is some that have gone, look, this has been going on a long time and I'm stressed and I've had enough, and they want to get out. And we said, fair enough, it's a voluntary buyout. But we've also got a few that are really looking not in the 2-3 year period, they're looking at 5-10 years away. They've got sons, they've been in the fishing industry their life, and they said, well, we'll wear the closures, but we just want the ability to fish in the future.
Absolutely, we support the sustainability. I mean, our businesses rely on the stocks being sustainable. Even over the last sort of probably 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years, we've made suggestions to the department how we can help out in the sustainability of the stocks by perhaps providing more data from the catches that we get, and more real-time data, and also electronic catch reporting, which have all been brought up. Nothing's been brought into place to bring the data collection up to a standard that we see fit to keep the fishery sustainable.
I definitely support sustainable management of fish stocks. I don't necessarily support how the department goes about managing the fish stocks that we have. As you can see, you know, every fishery that we operate in Western Australia is basically in a critical or severe rate. So they gave themselves a report card and it's red, orange on every single thing. That's not the fishers overfishing. The fishers all fish to what they're allowed to fish from the department. And, you know, they obviously got that wrong in their own way, but we also think the science, the way that they do it is wrong. And that's why we really want to have an independent fish survey. And what that is, that doesn't mean it's independent from the fisheries department. It means it's independent from getting the information data from the fishery itself. You go out and find your data by yourself.
Like, I've been involved in this game for a long time, 40 years, and I've seen a lot of fishing papers, and it's very difficult to get it right. So I'm not going to discredit our scientists, because they're doing the best they can with what they've got. They haven't got much. what we're saying, if we can get some funding and we'll get some independent science involved, then there's stuff that they can add on to what we've already got. And then that would give us confidence that we've got it right. But it's not easy. It's not a one-off fix. We realise that, but we want to build something into the future. So we get the stock numbers up and everybody's happy.
The reason we've asked for independent data is that we don't believe the sampling and the timeliness of the work that's been done over the last sort of extended period is sufficient to stand up to scrutiny. There's probably enough there to feed into the models, and there's mathematical ways to prop up the models. However, we don't believe that particularly the samples that have been taken are consistent, and we don't believe that the samples that have been taken represent the true nature of what we're catching. We also believe that because there's such a heavy reliance on the commercial data, that localised depletion may be affecting the spawning biomass numbers that are coming out, and we're not going farther enough afield with independent surveys that pick up the numbers of fish in other areas and their sizes and ages.
It's gone wrong a long time ago, actually. The money, supposedly, that should go to the department to get good research and do their job to the best of their ability is getting lost. So they've wound it back, and they've wound back the management. And then when they've wound back the management, they've unfortunately allowed the politicians to get involved, make decisions that the management should have made. And when you get that combination, this is what we get. It's a dog's breakfast.
The department, through their own report card, has shown that they aren't capable of managing the fisheries in the way that they've been doing it for the last 20 years. So we want to have a situation where we can create a new system of how we work together with the government through independent fish surveys to manage our fish stocks responsibly and effectively.
I don't believe it's final. I think all ministers make mistakes. I think she's made a bad one here. The previous minister, the Premier overturned, I think, 2 or 3 decisions from previous ministers. So we're hoping there'll be enough pressure from the public and the opposition to turn it around and get back to the table and have constructive meetings with commercial and the recs and sort this mess out, because it's just a mess.
Well, we're fishermen. We don't give up. If I gave up every time I left port and thought, oh, it's a bit rough or it's not this, it's not that, well, I wouldn't be a fisherman. So that's probably what. We think we're right. I think it's a bad decision, and the general public only just learning about how bad it is. And that's the attitude we'll take.
There's a lot of ways people can support the Fish for All campaign. First of all, you can go to our website, sign our petition. It'll also lead you to a really cool tool where we've got a letter writing AI program that can help you write to your local minister. And then we've got a crowdfunding through Give Now. If you type in Give Now in Google /Fish for All, you'll find it. Go there. Every dollar really helps us fight for your fish.
If people can support the industry by emailing the minister, give her the IRITs, as many emails as they can, sign the petition. There's a petition, I think, still going until end of this month, I think, and just support, write letters to the paper, just really support. And Fish for All, I'm a member of Fish for All, really try and help us with funds and spread the word that we need help.
Give us a fair go. We really want to have a fair go, because none of what's happened so far has been fair. What the minister has done is not fair to fishers, it's not fair to West Australians, and it's not fair to regional towns. So we want a fair go. We want to have a better look through how we're doing this and have some real consultation.
Well, we're probably not coping that well. I mean, as best as you'd expect, given what's been thrown at us, there's still a lot of hope that we could undo a decision with a good decision. I think that's where we're at. We're not going to roll over. We can see the injustice of it all, and I think we're doing pretty well at letting the public know they understand the injustice of it. They're getting on board because they're pretty fed up with a number of bad decisions, and this is sort of the last one on the cherry. And I think people are realising that the only way to overturn a decision like that is to get on board and protest put your signature to the petition and do what you can to get it changed. But we're certainly not giving up.